Welcome. I'm Janelle Kolaski, a career mindset coach and actor.
And I'm Amanda Dubois, a self-authenticity and prosperity life coach and actor as well. And we're your co-host of Mindset Artistry YouTube channel,
where we teach you the art of discovering and using your mindset
to build a career and life you desire.
Welcome back to Mindset Artistry. I am so excited to have our guest today, Kendra Thomas. She's so amazing. So I'm going to tell you all a little bit about her and then we'll get into it. Kendra is a New York City-based yoga, meditation, and HIIT instructor. Although always an athlete, it took a while to find her way to teaching. Once she realized how many people she could help, not only physically, but also mentally, she threw herself in head first. She has made it her goal to help people find their strength and leave each session class feeling more grounded and empowered while laughing and letting go of stress one breath at a time. It's true, I've been there. Crying at the end of every session. It's awesome. With roughly a decade of experience under her belt, she continues to grow and refine her personal teaching style as she is always seeking to expand her breadth of knowledge, whether she's teaching yoga or strength. Her focus is on safe, proper alignment and muscular engagement for each individual. When she isn't teaching in-person classes or private lessons in NYC, she can be found consulting with studios, guest teaching internationally, and on retreat. She's assisted in creating unique class concepts for various yoga studios and helped bring to life the signature meditation and HIIT class for Mind Body Project as one of the two founding instructors. Currently, she's developing a sculpt program for HeatWise and will oversee future trainings. Find her in NYC at The Well and HeatWise, or join her on retreat where she offers meditation, HIIT, high intensity training, and yoga. Okay, Kendra, you've got a lot going on here. And I am so excited to have you on the podcast. I hated yoga. I didn't hate yoga itself, but I kept going to these classes and I don't know. I know my body from being a dancer, and people kept wanting to me to push me in a way that I wasn't comfortable with, and I just knew wasn't safe for my body. And then there was this weird comparison thing, and I thought we were all on our own journey. I don't understand. So then I started doing it at home, but I hated it because I do push myself a little more in a group environment, and I enjoy the community of a yoga class. And so I'm so glad you exist. And also, you're an actor. You're always an actor, I think. So you were an actor first, and then you transitioned to teaching.
Ooh, okay, that was a mouthful. First off, thank you guys for thinking of me and for having me on. And Janelle, you know how much I love you, and I'm so glad you came into my class one day and were very trepidatious, and you kind of explained all that shit to me. You were like, sorry, can I curse? Okay. I curse a lot. But yeah, you explained all that to me and I was like, it's cool.
I would love to know how you, your acting journey first, and how you transitioned into teaching. And then, I want to talk a lot more about how fitness is for everyone. Yes.
Okay. Gorgeous. Okay. It's actually, really interesting to me that so when you guys asked me to do this podcast, I was like, I looked it up, listened to some episodes, and I was like, this is primarily for actors. She doesn't know that I used to act, right? And I was like, I wonder if I can offer something, for this community and yada, yada, yada. So long story short, I acted for years. I loved acting. It's in my blood. I grew up doing it. But it's a hard, path to forge. And even though I was all in, I needed something that brought me joy. And so I started really jumping into yoga, just as a practitioner at first. And then, as the years chipped away, it was one opportunity, I needed a little more relief. And so I decided to do, about a decade ago, a teacher training, for yoga. I didn't know that I'd teach. I didn't know that it would be the thing. Did the training, decided to teach a class or two and just see if it resonated. And I was in love. And I just without even realizing it, just was so enthralled by helping people, motivating people, inadvertently or directly, with either intentionally meaning to, because of the words I was using or the physical things I was offering, or indirectly just because of the experience they had, that I sort of I didn't fall out of love with acting. I will always love acting. And there is something extremely performative about being a teacher. You're on, baby. That's it. So I think it nourished my soul in a way, teaching, that I hadn't felt from acting, because I never personally got to that place where I was being nourished by my craft in the acting world, enough. And so I fell into it. I like stumbled into teaching, and then I like literally snowballed like full force downhill but uphill, like in like a really positive way towards like growth and learning and expanding my knowledge so I could continue to offer more to these people. Sorry, that was really long-winded.
No, that was great. I love the fact that you were an actor. And I think the thing that me and Janelle very much want to nurture in our audience is that we are multifaceted people and creatives, and we have so many passions and outlets that can feed our soul and our purpose. And so I love that you were an actor. I'm curious on, when do you think the moment was, or was it a thought, as we link mindset, that helped you give in willingly to like, I think I'm going to set aside acting for a while, even though I still love it. Like, I'm not saying no to it. And I want to explore being a teacher on this level. As you said, like, I found more joy in it. Like, it's really fulfilling me. Like, it sounds like it fulfilled something in you that the acting didn't necessarily do at that time. And not to say that it won't, but that at that time it didn't. And you found yoga and teaching. And so what was that moment? Or if there were moments that linked that mindset to go, I'm giving in now, and I'm trusting in the fact that my joy is telling me this is it.
Okay. Also, just to preface, my dog is in the background, so if you hear like weird fucking squeaking and like things, it's my dog. Sorry, it's not me with a weird squeaking fetish. Sorry. So many moments. I feel like it was so many things. It was like literally the first class I taught, I was so scared at first, and then, you know, almost like when you go and you do your first day on set or right before a performance on stage, you have that like nerve thing. Like I had that before the teaching, and then all of a sudden it just like melted away, and there was a performance factor to it, and like, but the thing that was different for me, and this happened over the course of, you know, I'd say like several months, as I was like sort of doing it as like a fun thing on the side, where it just started to feel more and more natural, and people resonated with me. And for some reason I felt like I was offering more. I don't think I can pinpoint like one specific thing, but I just knew like the minute I was offered like a full-time teaching gig, which would like make it financially sustainable in New York City, that's when I kind of knew I needed to lean into it. And, you know, I mean, my agent has kind of gone like, Kendra, you don't give a shit, but like, whatever. So he may not even send me anything, but like, you know, if he threw me like a voiceover audition, I would lay it down in a second. Not because I felt like, I didn't want to say I fell out of love with acting. I just fell deeper in love with teaching. Who knows what the world has to offer, but I didn't close the door on it. I just like to what you said, I kind of accepted this is the path right now. And that's okay. And a lot of it was also like familial. Like I had this like need to please and satisfy, and there was that expectation from my family. I mean, I went to college for theater. I grew up doing whatever. And once my family saw how passionate I was about teaching and how naturally it just was so deeply in me so quickly, I think the pressure to like make the other thing happen also sort of shifted, and I gave myself permission to just say, let's put this on this little back burner over here. No one's going to be mad. You're not, you're not going to get a little slap on the hand. Not that that would have actually happened, but like the weird psychosis we go through, that like mental jogging where we're like, I have to please everybody. I said I was going to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. And like, yeah, you need that. You need that in the acting world. You need that in any fucking industry. If you're going to succeed, you have to have that. And I guess the short answer is I just felt more of a pull to it in that moment. Like there was a span of months, I felt this pull of like, I need to do this. and I need to do this well. I need to do this better than it's been done. I need, you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that's really wonderful that you chose to chase something that aligned with you and followed through with that. Because, I mean, for anybody listening, there's a lot of fear around that, like you said, like getting a slap on the wrist. And sometimes people really do try to hold you in one spot. And we've done whole episodes about that. And it's all about feeling safe, really, because it's what you know. So I would love to know more about why you teach, specifically what you teach, so yoga and the high intensity interval training, and what made you choose those. Because although the yoga you do is pretty intense at times, not as intense as the, high interval thing. So tell me more about that and what attracted you to those.
So I was an athlete always. So it was like, even like in junior high school, I would do the fall play or like whatever, the spring play, and I would swim in the other season. Like I always did both. Like I was a competitive athlete and an actor. And I went to college for the acting, but the athleticism was always there. And I did yoga for years and I kept getting injured, but I was like, it's fine. It's fine. And because the teachers, I'd be like, oh, my wrist hurts. And they'd be like, that's too bad. Or like, make fists and like, no, like actual solutions. I'm getting to the answer, I promise. I was an athlete for years. I spent years participating in yoga, like as a practitioner only, and feeling like I loved it. But like once I did my teacher training, and I did a really good one. I had like really intelligent teachers in terms of like anatomy and all that stuff. It jogged my need, and like I mentioned, to be better and to do better for other people. So my mindset in that moment was, how do I make this mine? Like, yes, this is yoga. This is hundreds of years of like tradition and whatnot. And how do I make this authentic to me? And that personally, for the yoga specifically, was I'm going to teach a class that is smart and that is safe, that will let people find strength and like be healthy and sorry. That was an aggressive squeak moment. That will help them, feel safe and strong in their bodies, right? So like you can come to me never having done yoga, and it's going to be challenging, but I'll make you feel like you've walked away having learned something, having felt accomplished, strong. Like I try to build people up because I think there's too much of the opposite in this world, no matter what we're talking about, especially amongst women. I think like it's less and less each day, but I think there's a tendency for us to like put other people down and not bolster each other up, or you don't look the way you should look, so maybe you shouldn't be in this class. Fuck that. You know what I mean? So I have a strong personality. I don't change who I am just because I'm teaching yoga. I show up and I give you myself as authentically as I can. And in terms of like the strength stuff, that all kind of happened so organically. I was actually brought onto the project because of my meditation expertise. So, because, I try to be well-rounded and I believe wholeheartedly in meditation. It's the reason I'm less of an asshole. As is yoga. Like honestly, like it really helps. And I can tell when I haven't been meditating enough because that's it. So I was brought on to this one studio that was opening in 2021, Mind Body Project, as like the meditation person. And originally it was going to be like meditation and yoga and the HIIT stuff. And I didn't know shit. I mean, I'd gone to the gym and lifted weights, but like as an athlete, but I didn't really know anything about weightlifting and training. And so I had to learn a lot. So I jumped in there, feeling like a fish out of water with so much of it. I took a big risk and I offered what I offered, my knowledge, and I stayed really open to all of the learning and all of the opportunity. And it was scary as hell. And I felt like an imposter for like all 8 months of training and before we opened. This happens. You learn a new skill set, a new accent for a role. Like it doesn't feel natural in your bodies, in your minds, in your being for a while. And now it actually has become like a really cool way for me to offer more balance for people. So I teach strength at the Well, for instance, and I also teach yoga there. So you can get a very different side of me depending upon which class of mine you take. And then my latest venture, the whole sculpt thing, is just because I think, and this is not me throwing shade at anybody in the sculpt world, but I think like there's a lot of sculpty type classes that are really unsafe. Teachers don't know what they're doing, and that is not my MO. I really want people to know what they're doing and when they're teaching, so they can help people, not hurt people, so that they keep feeling better and coming back. So long story short, that's kind of the journey. Like it was strictly yoga meditation. And then right before the pandemic hit, I was offered this opportunity to provide my expertise, and then ultimately grew as a result of that, which was super fucking cool. And then that did close, which was really sad. But and because the whole premise of that space was like, let's offer you mental and physical well-being in 50 minutes because you don't make time for both. We're going to help you. And now I'm just trying to take my little bit of knowledge that I have as an athlete and teach other teachers to, you know, do what they do, hopefully better, more responsibly, so we can help more people.
I commend you for what you're doing. Congratulations on all of that. I think it takes a lot of courage and, just believing in yourself. And I think there was what I heard was a seamless through line that was there. It was like, that's authenticity of finding how you can contribute to this vast community and what the things that you didn't like that aligned again with you, right? These classes where I've hurt my wrist many times, I've hurt my ankles, and I'm always like telling people, I'm like, oh, I can't do that, and eventually I've learned how to do it and navigating that. But it's always better when you have someone who's a teacher in these classes who's well-rounded, educated, and has a care and passion for it, that they're going to pause and go, okay, here, let me figure out what's going to work for you. And here's the knowledge, and not force you to do something that eventually will lead to long-term like damage or, pain. And you're like, oh, but I'm doing great. I should be doing more. And then that messes with your clients and whoever that's in your class. And then they may not come back because it's not authentic and it's not healthy. And so I really appreciate what you're doing, because I think we need that more, because it's gotten to be like more of a fad, like a zeitgeist of the moment. And anybody who's anybody, and this is no shade to anyone else either who wants to do something, it's, you have a knowledge, go for it and learn more. Don't think that you know everything, because wisdom takes time. Mm-hmm. And so I love that you've, throughout your journey, you've paused, you did the research, and then the hit, like you didn't know about it, and you were so honest about that. So for anyone who's listening, like, don't be afraid of learning something new, and then recognizing, I love what you said about the fact that you felt like you were an imposter when you learn something new, because we feel that way all the time because it's not who we naturally are. And so now we're integrating something like, oh, new, like an accent, like you said, or a new career or a new goal or any new role. And I think that also goes with anything that you're doing in life. So I love that. I just wanted to like point that out, and how that, again, authenticity, mindset, patience, time, dedication, passion, all align with how you can fulfill your purpose and the thing that you're meant to do. So good. So good. Tell me a bit about HIIT, because a little intense for me. I'm a little weak when I try to be, but tell me a bit about.
Like, not want to see me, Amanda. It was funny. Kendra, my feet were in something hanging from the ceiling.
Oh, that TRX. Yeah, the TRX.
Amanda wasn't there. It was really funny. I mean, I've laughed at Amanda and I have had like surfing crazy things where she broke a nail. Girl came long nails surfing, called in the sharks, brought her roller skating. You missed that party, Kendra. It was the party of the year, my birthday, and she almost broke her wrist. So maybe we should not be together. TRX, yes. Tell us all about it, because I don't know what I was doing.
So yeah, the TRX is amazing. It's like a really, really cool contraption. Like you can even have it like in your home. And essentially it was like developed by like military specialists to like help them work out when they were like in the field, right? And I might be like getting the exact better, like wrong, but that's it. It's like super basic, like carabiners and cloth and whatever. Clip it up, done. Put it in a door, done. Though I did do that once with like a not so secure door and the door flew open and that was not safe. So just be smart. So yeah, the TRX was part of the class at Mind Body Project, and it was really, really, really cool because um, it's not weights, it's your body weight, and you get to scale the intensity based upon like, you know, if you step your feet forward, it gets more intense. If you're feeling like it's a little too much for you today, you step your feet backward, and it makes it so that you can then like train your push up without your full body weight. And you don't feel weak, you feel accomplished. It's a really excellent training tool. Um, but yeah, that's really cool. HIIT is great. I think in moderation. I think people go a little crazy and they're like, I gotta do it 5 days a week. I'm like, yo, you don't want to do that. You're like, I'm not gonna say my age, but I'm not in my 20s anymore. And like, I probably in my 20s would have been like, oh, yeah, let's go, let's do it hard. Like, but you can't at a certain point in time. Like, it's too much for your body, and so I think it's important. It's important for heart rate. It's important to get like that, especially for women. Again, strength, that muscle building as we age, especially, is really, really important. So lifting the weights, doing that like impact work. And you can also do high intensity interval training without impact. You don't have to do like jumping and weird, crazy stuff. But I do love it. I think it's great. I think it's a fantastic complement to yoga, which the yoga I teach is not just like stretchy, woo woo yoga. It's like, let's learn how to stretch smart. Let's find the strength in the stretch. But I still think, we need to be doing different things with our bodies. You can't do the same. It's like the definition of crazy, right? You do the same thing over and over and over and over again and expect a different result. That's crazy. We have to like vary things up. And I think that ties in really well, probably with your listeners, because, and with my experience, like going back to acting days, just to like tie it all in, like there were periods in time where I was doing the same thing every single day, and I wasn't seeing results. And at a certain point, I was like, well, this is crazy. This isn't working. Like, I got to try something different. I got to shake it up. I got to go, and you can say that about just about anything, I think, in life. And being able to offer a variety of things for my students, everything from like meditation, which is supposed to induce like a sleep-like state, all the way down to like this high intensity where you feel like different ways of empowering people, helping to ground people. Like, it's really cool for me to be able to offer that and now to feel fully authentic in it. It's been 2021 is when I started like training and doing my personal training stuff. What year are we in? 2024. It took a solid like year plus. And I do think that that's as hard as it was. And I tell people this all the time. I don't know everything. I have so much learning to do. So much. I'm like looking for the next training, looking for the next thing that I could do, the next person who I can learn from and grow from. And I'm happy to be able to offer like a nugget of like wisdom, if you can call it that, like to people. But like, I do think, as scary as it is to keep pushing ourselves and growing and learning, we have to, because that's physically, mentally, when you stop, like that's when we, in my opinion, get old. Like that's when things stagnate and you stop like existing fully. I know that sounds maybe cliche or cheesy, but
no, I kind of agree. I was thinking very morbid thoughts. I was like, that's when you die because your soul has nothing to live for.
I didn't want to say that.
That's really morbid. I said, man, take a seat. I said, take a seat. I'm not going to say it, but then I did. Because someone needed to hear it. Okay. So let's continue to live. And I think what you said was pretty cool because I think I kind of want to circle back to like mindset and stuff. And then not mindset, meditation. You talked about how you had a really, passion and knowledge about meditation, and again how that is very parallel and correlates with our body and our mind, and how the sleep state, but then it's like also a state of heightenedness and awareness because we get to like pause, connect, or just like discover, and all these things that can come into meditation. And we talk about meditation all the time, and we have so many people talk about the importance of it. And I'm pretty sure people are sick of it, but I'm not. So meditation is really good, and I do feel a difference when I'm not doing it. Like you said, like sometimes you start getting like, oh, my ego starts to come into play when I'm not pausing. And then the competitive thoughts come in, the comparison of other people. What is success? No, I should be doing this. I could be doing that. And all the things that come into play when we're not pausing and realigning or reconnecting or just clearing out. That's all that this is. As actors and creatives, because you have been in the industry, what are 3 helpful tips for actors that they can use to realign themselves in meditation, or to help them through challenging moments like, oh my gosh, I have anxiety, I have a self-tape, or oh, I am getting ready to be on set and I don't know like if I'm meant to be here, like those thoughts that can like arise in these moments of our success or career. That's what I meant to say.
Okay, I'm also going to give you another disclaimer. My dog is trying to get me to throw her ball, and she is in the background being a real dick. So I'm ignoring her, but if it escalates, I might have to get the ball and throw it. Just saying. Meditation. Okay, so here's the thing. I resisted the whole meditation thing for a really long time, and it didn't do me any good. And I think because, like, I'm not a person who does well with, like, people telling me to do something. You know what you tell me to do it, I'm like, fuck off. Maybe when I want to, I'll get into it. And so for years I didn't, and I was fine, but like it probably would have helped me. And the 3 things I would say that could have helped me and might be helpful, not just to actors, but to anybody, is like, especially we've all experienced those moments of like, basically the crux of like anxiety and stress, as I'm sure you guys know and you've talked about, and is like when your thoughts spiral to things that are in the past that you cannot change, and when your thoughts spiral to things that are like to come that are completely out of your fucking control, right? Like you're not actually in the moment when you're in that anxiety. Like you are, but you aren't. Meditation is really cool because even if, and everybody's like, I have to do 20 minutes, I have to do 30 minutes, and then they don't do it because they feel like they have to do so much of it and it's too much, and it's like that. It's like someone telling you have to climb fucking Mount Kilimanjaro. You're not going to do that. Just walk up a little hill. You're fine. 5 minutes. Like, I would say the 3 main things, just do it. It doesn't matter. Like, if it's 3 breaths, right? And you take those conscious breaths, like the scientifically proven breath where like your exhale is twice as long as your inhale. You do it 3 times. I guarantee you're not going to stop at 3. Just breathe. Just remember to breathe and like focus on your breath and stop worrying about whether you get it right or get it perfect, because that's not a thing. Your mind, if it's the most annoying thing, and I said it for years myself, is when someone is like, yeah, but my mind just wanders too much. I'm like, that's literally its job. It's doing the right thing. Like, and that's okay. And so I would say like another thing I would offer is don't worry about getting things right. Like we spend so much of our life worrying about getting it right. Just try, just show up, just do your best. And like 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, deep breaths. Try not to like fixate on how good or how bad it's not performative. And if you're a performer, it's probably for anybody, right? But especially if you're a performer, remembering that something doesn't need to be right, doesn't need to be perfect, doesn't need to be performed perfectly well for it to have been a success is hard. So don't show up to your meditation or your 10 breaths before your audition thinking you need to perform them perfectly. Just breathe and do that for you. Because if you do and you just like surrender to your breath, a lot of the time those like really pesky like thoughts that are just like not productive and like searing little like tiny holes in your brain and like working against any positive outcome you might actually have, if you can just breathe and focus, like they just kind of flutter away. I feel like for most of us, and I know it sounds like such bullshit if you've never experienced it, but it's like if you just do it, if you just try. I didn't specify 3 things. I kind of did, but I didn't fully.
Oh, but this is so helpful. I mean, I think I'm like a professional anxious person. Amanda's been trying to help me for years. And I was just talking to my therapist about it today. Like, I wasn't taught to self-soothe. A lot of us weren't. I don't know. I remember watching Andrew, my boyfriend, like talking to his kids, and like they were upset. And then he was having like a real conversation with them about that. And I was like, what the fuck? What is this? And like it was so beautiful. I was crying because I was like, what? And then I was really taught the only way I could be safe is if people outside of me told me I was safe. Like nobody taught me to like empower myself with like you can meditate and find the safety in your body. And now, in my 30s, I'm finally getting there. But that's why I'm so anxious all the time, because it's like, and it gets frustrating because even something happened the other day and I was too anxious about it and I had to call him. And I wanted to be just like, no, just meditate and breathe. And like, you probably know the answer to this. And I was right. But I just needed him to hear him say it. And I hate that. I hate that I have to have that type of assurance sometimes. But I mean, have you always, I mean, I don't know if it's all the weed he smokes, but like he's always kind of like chill. So have you always been like this confident with this? I know meditation wasn't always a thing your whole life, but I mean, I know you've probably always been bold. I think everybody in this room today is a very bold person, doesn't like to be told what to do. But I guess what advice would you have for people that, beyond like just meditate, like just go with the flow, and like how you found your path with the physical stuff and the teaching, you just went with it. Some people are afraid to death to take those steps because they're like, I have no guarantee. Anyway, that was a lot. Whatever you have.
No, it's super valid. This is going to sound really annoying, but I'm the person, kind of, you mentioned it, like, whatever I do, I know I'm going to give it 110%, and I'll probably be okay. And I'm luckily not a very anxious person, though I think everybody struggles with anxiety, especially if you're just like trying to exist as a human in this world and like pay bills, like in New York City, right? Like, for instance, like, there's going to be anxiety about like, can I actually make money? Like, I still to this day, like, I'm hosting 2 retreats this year, and like, I've hit the numbers for one and I haven't hit the numbers for the other, and like, these anxious thoughts come up, and like, just meditating doesn't make that go away. They keep coming back. And like, I think learning to sit with discomfort is huge. Learning to, for me at least, because when you care about something, you're going to have big feelings about it. And whether you know how to self-soothe, or you need someone else's like approval, or whether it's a therapist or whatever, like, there will be moments where you can't self-soothe, or you don't have that person for your approval. And I think like the hardest thing is having to sit with the discomfort in a lot of ways. I don't know where you want me to go with that, but I'm not, like, I'm not a therapist. I I tell people all the time, I'm like, I'm not a therapist. Like, I don't have it all figured out at all. I'm just trying my best, and I have to be. You know what it is? This is what it fucking is. You have to be willing to fail. And I've said it before, and I will say it again. I forget who it was that mentioned this, but like, really, really, really successful people obviously don't get it right the first time. They fail. They get a lot of no's. Um, make a lot of mistakes, and you have to be willing to like be okay with the fact that you messed something up and you didn't get it right, and continue to stay open to what might come. It's like, just keep trying, keep failing. Like, when I was in the learning stages of this new skill set, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it failing, but I wasn't doing it the way I wanted it to be done, the way it should be done, which is where that imposter thing came in. And I think this goes with, again, with anything. You might be learning jousting or something. I don't fucking know, but like sword fighting, like fencing. I did that for a little while and it was fun, but I wasn't very good at it. The inside of my brain is like, I think like, yeah, failure, being comfortable with sitting with the possibility of disappointment. I think like meditation can help with that. It's not going to solve, it's not going to solve it, but it at least can provide that moment of pause, so that like, instead of like reacting impulsively and freaking out and like throwing your laptop on the floor, like maybe you take a deep breath and you go, let me call my person for a little advice, or let me write my feelings down so I can do a little self-soothing. Like meditation can help with those things, I think, if you're consistent. And so can the physical stuff. Go, go. Make me stop talking. One of you.
No. That was great. I think that everything that you said was helpful because and I love what you said about like living in the discomfort and like embracing the failure, because failure is inevitable, but it's about your perception and your thoughts around failure, right? Like you said, every successful person will tell you they failed so many times and they still fail, but they keep going. That's the difference. They don't let the failure define them. And like, I wish I would have known that, or at least had that thought. Cause like I did swimming in high school for like I love swimming. But I did swimming and my thing was like free backstroke and freestyle. That was my thing. Everything else, I was like, this breaststroke ain't working for me, guys. I'm looking like, a pelican flying in the water. It just didn't look right for me and it didn't work. So, but I remember a distinct moment when we were doing a meet and it was backstroke. And I'm doing it, I'm going, and I'm like, I made it, I did the flip, and I can feel myself beating everyone around me. But I got so excited that I stopped before I touched the wall. Yeah. And when I got up and went and stood, I was about like this much away from the wall, and someone else touched it before I did. And I was like, what? They were like, keep going. And I was like, what do you mean? Didn't I? They're like, no, you did. I was like, oh my gosh. And so I ended up not even getting first, second. I think I got like third place because it was like, they were right there. But when you're swimming, it's the seconds, the milliseconds that get you there. And so I think low key, I kind of held that in. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Even though I knew I was good at it, there was a sense of disappointment and like the fact that I failed in front of other people. It wasn't just me. It's like I failed in front of others. And I didn't realize it. And when you said that, I was like, oh, wow, that's probably one of the reasons why I kind of stopped, even though I loved swimming, because I was afraid of reliving that moment and not living past it. So I held on to the failure and it made it define me. And I never went back to it in a way that it would have actually fulfilled me. But yet in other moments in my life, I've come across failure and conquered it, got back up, like no problem, like with acting and things like that. So I just find it very interesting that you said that, like when you come across the discomfort and when you come across failure, and now I know that. And like, I think you inspired me. I'm like, damn, I should start swimming again because I kind of miss it. But I really do. I'm like, oh man, get this. It was the best body I ever had swimming. It was the best freaking body, like abs. And I mean, it was great. Anyway, I digress. The point I was making was the fact that if you take a moment and like pause and do the meditation, or even just self-reflect, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to sit down and like be quiet and silence your mind, because that's what they say in the Buddhist, like you got to be perfect and you got to get the wisdom. It's just that self-reflection will help you evolve and like redirect you, realign you, or clear whatever it is that you need to in order to make those choices, right? And I think you did that when you decided like, oh, I need to do the HIIT. Like, I'm going to learn. Like, you pause, and even though you were facing the imposter syndrome, you still went through, you still followed through, and you came out on the other side. There's always an other side to come out of. And again, I don't know who needed to hear that, but today I'm preaching. I don't know, like, hello. But it's coming to me. I'm like, might as well. But anyway, the point is that I wanted to make is that everything that you've done, and I always say this, like everything is purposeful, not purposeless. So you being an actor, like here you are today, everything's kind of like full circle, at least from my perspective, right? You're talking to other actors and creatives who may have other things that they're interested in, but maybe hesitant to actually pursue it because they're afraid of letting go of this identity that they've held onto for so long, based on people pleasing and the roles that we have to play in people's lives, the fulfillment of others. And so I encourage everybody, take a moment and really ask yourself, what do you want to do and how do you want to impact the world? Because I think you did that. I want to know a bit more about these retreats that you have coming up, because I know you said you have one that you're fulfilling and then the others. And I know you have one that's in May and I believe in September. So tell me a bit more about those retreats and how our audience members can get involved and get to know you a bit more and get active.
I'll touch on the retreats, but you said something, about like the people pleasing and the acting and the thing like that. And like, I think part of like what I needed to be told, because, there's such a culture, and I don't know where you guys fall on this spectrum, but there's such a culture in the acting world of like, oh, you can't have a backup. If you have a backup, you're not an actor. You're not a real actor. And that like immense like guilt and shame you live with. If how dare you have something else you love as much, blah, blah, blah. And so I think that was part of it. Like, not even like, ugh. It's just like, oh, you're not a real actor if you like doing something else for your life. Like, fuck that. Fuck that. You can be more than one thing. And in fact, you're probably a more interesting person if you do more than one thing. So, Hollywood, take a note. Just kidding. Just kidding. Sorry. I grew up in Hollywood, so I can say this. Okay, so I digress. So that's why I want people to be kinder to themselves and give themselves more credit and more grace and more leeway to like be a fuller person and wear more hats. And anyway, so if you want, you can come on retreat. It's one of my favorite things in the world. I'm going to the Catskills in just under 2 weeks, with a lovely group of like 11 people, which is a small-ish group for me, but a good size. I'm really excited about it because basically on these retreats, it's primarily yoga. There will always be some meditation. Once in a while, I'll throw in like a body weight HIIT class. It just depends on if the demand is there. Like in Portugal last year, everybody wanted HIIT, so I had to like add extra classes in. Crazy people. But it's just these retreats are something I love traveling, and I think a lot of people love traveling, but planning is daunting. Traveling solo is daunting. Finding the people, the friends, like making it, like coordinating all of those things is daunting. And so I decided I wanted to offer these retreats so that basically I could give people who are like-minded an opportunity to travel with less stress. Like your meals are like, you're good, like your transfer, everything's set up. And it's not like, I don't know if you picked up on it, but I'm not like, and I don't care if you're a vegan or not a vegan, or I'm not super granola. Like, do you want to wake up? We'll do some fitnessy stuff. We'll go and like explore museums or take a hike or ride horses or whatever, any number of things. But then when it comes time to like hang out and chill, we're going to chat. We're going to laugh. It has been, and I'm like, I'll get into more details, but like these retreats, and this is like my soft pitch for anybody who's been on the fence. I have watched these retreats, and this is just my small, limited group of people that I've touched. Like, people have made lifelong friends. We get together in different capacities, like 2 or 3 here, couple here, go on a hike, go to dinner, grab drinks. Like, it just takes things to the next level. And because it's a big enough group, like if you hate someone, you don't really have to talk to them. It's fine. And if you vibe with somebody, and then like you can go and explore together and learn it. Like, it's such a powerful, strong experience and like really fun. You get to see me a little tipsy probably once in a while, which is probably too much and a little ridiculous. But the next one, so Catskills is closed for registration unless you want, like DM me and I could probably like get you in there. It's May 19th through the 22nd. I picked those dates. It's the Sunday through the Wednesday right before Memorial Day weekend. I picked those dates so that people force themselves to take a full week off before Memorial Day and whatever they plan for that. Like, come with me Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, leave Wednesday morning, go live your life, but like have a full week for yourself, because it's hard for us to take time for ourselves. And then the next one is Spain, Costa Brava, Spain in September. It's a week, 6 days. And Costa Brava, if you don't know about it, is like located, I'm American, so my geography skills are really terrible, but I did research, obviously. It's kind of like close to like the south of France border. So it's right on the Mediterranean, the place we're staying is like has a private entrance to the Mediterranean Ocean. You can go like snorkeling and like cliff dive into the water, or you can just like walk along the cliffs and like look at the gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous views. Bunch of like medieval villages all over the place that you can like walk to and explore, and like beautiful art and history and museums. Obviously, good food, good wine. Um, so yeah, it's going to be really excellent, really fun. I think I've only got like 3 singles left, but a bunch of doubles. So it's a great opportunity to grab your sister, your mother, your friend. Like I've had that happen a lot, which is really cute. Um, Significant other, but men tend to be a little bit like, oh, I don't go on yoga retreats. Like, and I want them to because they'd have fun. I'm like actually trying to encourage these women who come. Some of them are on like their third or fourth retreat with me now, and they've got like boyfriends and spouses now, and everything is sort of shifting. Like, bring them. The guys can all hang out. You got, it's like. So
Andrew would
anyway,
come. He's one of the girls.
he's so cool.
Yeah, you
I
met
only
him.
met him like twice, but he was so sweet.
Yeah, he's a sweetie, and he can walk in heels better than I can. So he's all about it. And he's actually the reason I started coming back to yoga, because when we started dating, I was like, all right, well, I'll do it with you, but I'm not going to a class. Well, I love this. Okay, well, I have one more question for you before we jump off of here. And I love everything you've been saying. Can you speak to, taking time for yourself? Like for me, I'm deathly afraid of that. I actually don't believe I have time to relax because it feels like everything will fall apart. That is how I live my life. Even especially being a model and actor, like if you're not around, someone else can get the job. And Amanda and I have talked about this before. It's changed now with self-tapes. That's helped me a lot. And you can literally be anywhere. But I literally have a core belief that I'm like always meditating through is like, you can't relax. You can't. You can't be away. All your work will vanish and you'll starve. I don't know. But it's really like, I don't know. I have no, I just don't feel the freedom. So what do you see in people? Like, why can't, other than me and my craziness, why don't they take that time for themselves?
Oh my goodness. I am fucking guilty as charged. So I don't work in a job where I get paid vacation like you guys. When I'm not working, A, I'm not getting paid. B, I'm missing out on opportunities, right? Connections, things happening, like meeting a person who's going to invite me to come and teach in Berlin. Like that's the type, like you miss. So again, I don't have it all figured out, by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know how to take days off. I don't know how to say no, but I've been like, it's such a debilitating thing, similar, I think, to you, where it's like, I've had to reframe it because here's the thing, you can either look at it as something negative or you're privileged to have enough drive. I am so lucky to be able to make myself available to be, you know what I mean, to be healthy enough to like, and I think that's really valuable, like how we frame our thoughts, how we choose to spin, right? Because mindset is a choice in a lot of ways. And again, I'm not a therapist. I don't have any fucking answers, or not any, but I don't have the answers. But I think like my advice would be like, it's going to feel uncomfortable, but it's the same thing. It's probably going to feel just as uncomfortable as like any of those other things we talked about. Lean into it, breathe into it, start small, you know, and maybe things will get better from there. Like, like, I don't know. First retreat, I didn't give myself any time off. I spent a week with like 15 people, like running around Morocco, came back to New York, jumped right back into work, and was like, what? Like, and I realized, oh no, I'm so privileged to be this busy and have had this experience, but that's not okay. I need to give me time. So I think we just have to be better at listening to ourselves, and that comes with taking that pause.
Kendra, thank you so much for joining us today for this episode. I think anyone who watches is going to come away with so many gems and just again, encouraging them to pause, to find themselves and do the thing that they actually want to do, and don't let life slip away from your fingers. And Next thing you know, if you're privileged enough to live into your 80, 90 years old, you're going to be like, well, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. But I didn't because I was stuck in the fear. I was stuck in the uncomfortableness and I didn't want to get out of that. So I appreciate you so much. Last words and how they can find you.
Kendra Thomas Yoga. I keep it really simple, even though I'm not just yoga now. Kendra Thomas Yoga is Instagram and webpage. I know some people don't do Instagram, so fine. Hats off to you. I don't really do the TikTok thing. I'm too old. I can't get on board. I'm trying. It's really hard. But yeah, that's the best way. DM me, send me an email via my website. And last thoughts, you guys, wherever you are on your journey, like, it's okay to fuck things up. It's okay to feel like you didn't get it right. Period. Because we just keep moving forward and eventually everything kind of works out. Like, at least that's what I'm finding with age, And it might not feel like it at the moment, but, deep breaths.
Yeah.
Hard thing. Acting is so vulnerable.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Well, thank you, Ken. Mic drop. That was fantastic. That was like the perfect note. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this episode of Mindset Artistry, and we'll see you next time. Ciao for now.
Thank you guys for having me.
What are your thoughts about this episode?
Drop it in the comments and let us know what you want to dive into next.
Subscribe, like, share, and click the link below to book a free consultation. And
We'll see you next time.